Here's one of the latest interviews from Rock and Metal Revival. If you want to hear the whole show, go to rmrshow.com. There's Black Star Riders and Hoodoo Voodoo on Rock and Metal Revival. I know, nice cowbell on there. And love Black Star Riders. And actually, Bud, I didn't know much about Black Star Riders till I heard about him from this man. And we welcome him back on the show. Return guest, Eddie Trunk. Welcome back to the show, Eddie.
Hey, guys. Well, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
I'll tell you what, another season out there of that metal show, and just to be honest with you, Eddie, so far you guys are killing it.
Oh, I appreciate it. You know, it's you never know when we go into these shows how they're going to be received. Everybody has their favorites. Everybody has the things that they like and don't like. But in our 14th season of doing the show, we've, in this season, probably had the most first-time guests we've ever had. And also by far the greatest variety that we've ever had. And by and large, the response and reaction to that has been really, really positive for the most part. So that's a good thing, and it's good for the future, too, because obviously if you can't grow and expand on your base and open it up a little bit more, you kind of get stagnant. So we took some chances to do some stuff a little different this year in terms of mixing up guests, and it seems to have really worked.
Yeah, I liked when you had Michael Schenker and Kirk Hammett do their little jam thing there. So who won?
I don't know. I didn't really look at it as a competition so much, but I can tell you that that I put a lot of work into making that happen. That was a lot of conversations and texting with Kirk, and then just telling Michael, you know, how important he was to Kirk, and it all worked out in the end. Yeah. I mean, Kirk flew all the way from California just to come to New York, really just to do that. It was the second time we had Kirk on the show, and the last time I got him on, he came on because Uli John Roth was the guest, who he's also a huge fan of. And although he didn't play with Uli, he at least got to hang, and they hung out and did a little guitar lesson backstage. But, you know, listen, I mean, to see a guy like Kirk Hammett of his stature just completely geeked out, and
that was
cool.
To
have spent that time with Michael was really kind of cool. I thought it was a really cool thing. And I thought it was good for Michael, too, because, let's be honest, I mean, Kirk is a way, way bigger name, and I'm sure there were a lot of people that were saying, hey, who is this guy that the guy from Metallica is so excited about?
Yeah.
So I thought it was a lot of fun, and we had a good time doing that one. It took a lot of work to get it together, but I'm glad it did. It was a pretty epic moment.
Yeah.
The guy I felt sorry for was Damon Johnson having to play after that.
Yeah, when I saw Damon backstage beforehand, I said to him, you know, what was going on. And he said, oh, great, man, thanks, no pressure or anything. Just put me out there in front of those two guys. So. But Damon more than held his own, and he was a great sport, and he was, of course, a fan of both guys, and he did a great job as well. That you know, that guest guitar playing spot up there in the stands is a pretty tough gig, because those guys, some people know this and some don't, they cannot play any music. They cannot play a song, a riff, anything that is a published piece of music, because it's we can't pay the publishing on it. We won't pay the publishing on it. So, you know, they really have to just freeform it. And some guys do really well with that, and some guys struggle with it. But you know, I think Damon was great.
You know, so far, I was watching the show the other day, the repeat of when you had Mark Farner and Ace on, and just the look on Ace's face watching Nita Strauss just rip it up. You know, it's kind of cool to see that interaction with the artists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we and Nita was great as well. You know, and she's obviously a newer artist by our standards, and that was probably, I mean, she just recently got into a big band with. Being a member of Alice Cooper's band, but prior to that, she was fairly, you know, unknown in the mainstream. So it's really cool when we're able to take artists like that and give them that sort of platform, where all of a sudden a lot more people start asking about them and talking about them and what have you. And I think that was definitely something that we did with Nita. I'll tell you, years ago, I think it's definitely something we did with John Fott. Not to say John didn't have a huge following already with the musician community and everything he's accomplished, but nobody had ever seen John in that context before on a TV show and playing the way he can play. And we've had him on 5-6 times since. He's probably the biggest guy that we've ever heard from, who we put in that position and has just blown people away and elevated his awareness and his status through it. So it's great to be able to do that. I wish we could let them play songs and have bands, but we just don't have the budget for it. But it's cool to put some new blood up there. And then in our season finale, we're bringing Billy Sheehan back, who we've had play bass a number of times, and is just a monster, of course. So to have the older guys, the newer guys, and now some women up there has been great.
So what was it like having Nita Strauss and Jennifer in the same room? Or did that happen? Because that could be bad.
I don't think there were any cat fights.
No?
It was all good.
Because that would be the perfect thing to get you guys broadcast in high def. You had both of those on the show, both of them on the show all the time.
You know, the absurdity of discussing a show not being in high def in 2015 is only something that could be reserved for that metal show in the VH1 Classic.
I think it's because you got Jim on their show. They're like, we don't want him in high def.
If you want to see it in HD, it's it's actually in HD on computers. If you watch the stream on VH1's website, that's better resolution. But again, that's an age-old thing that's completely out of my hands. And I think, from what my understanding is, we have 2 more episodes to air in this season, and then we'll be on a break. And they're telling me we'll do more in the fall. And my understanding is maybe by the fall we'll be in a place where the channel we may actually be seen in HD. Again, it's so silly to talk about, but
that would be awesome.
That's what I'm hearing, at least. But I again, those are decisions way out of my pay grade.
Eddie, over the past couple of months, I went and saw Ace on the Space Invader tour, and Jerry and I just past Saturday night saw Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock, and both those shows were sold out. But still to this day, no radio play unless it's on your show or a show like this. Do you think that fan base is just going to, how do I put this?
Dwindle away?
Dwindle away? I mean, I worry about that great music like this isn't going to have a place in our society.
It's a real bummer. It's something that I've really been bummed out about because there's so many really good new records out right now that are largely being ignored at radio, and it's a shame. But I get into this with my satellite radio audience quite a bit, and I think that as fans, we have to do, not we, because it doesn't really apply to you or you guys or me because it's what we do, but we're consumed with it. But the mainstream fans, the fans out there that are just rock fans, they have to do a better job keeping up with what's going on and finding out that these artists have put out new records and buy them and support them, or go to the shows and find out what they're doing. Because I get extremely frustrated doing a satellite radio show and hearing from people, and I take a ton of calls during it, and I hear from people all over the country, and I'll get a call from whatever state, and they'll say something to the effect of, what did I just have? I just had one the other day. Hey, whatever happened to Queensryche? And it just floors me when people say that. Or, hey, whatever happened to Extreme? And it's like, my first question to them is, are you a fan of that band? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, well, how on earth are you calling me, asking me whatever happened to those bands? Because these people have no clue that everything's happened with Queensryche, and there were records, and who got the name, and that the band is active, and they're touring, and they're making a new record, or that Extreme just did a 25th anniversary of Porno Graffiti, and are touring, and what have you. They have no clue. And they're living in 1988 thinking that they're going to turn on their local radio station and hear all about it, or they're going to turn on TV and see all about it, and that's not going to happen outside of my show. And what baffles me about this is that we have one source that you could get the answer to all of it in a second, and it's the Internet. So I don't understand, like I say to these people, if you're into Queensryche or into Extreme or into whatever these bands that are all active and need your help and support, why wouldn't you just Google them, find their website and you know everything you'd ever need to know about them. And I never quite understood it. So if you're waiting for things to change, unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen. But the upside of it is it's easier than ever to be a fan of and find out what's going on with the bands you're into, because they've all got websites, Facebooks, Twitters, whatever.
Exactly.
So it really is a real hot button with me right now that fans, for some reason, are just passive and they're wanting it to fall in their lap when all they've got to do is go to the computer and listen. Tons of these artists are struggling mightily, and they need the help. So if you want to help move the scene and bring this back a little bit, and you are a fan of a certain band, get online, find out what they're doing, and support it.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the other night we're at Michael Schenker, and Jerry's got his Michael Schenker sweatshirt on, and a guy comes up and he goes, "This is the first time Michael's been here in the States in 13 years."
Yes.
And we're both kind of looking at him, kind of going, "Dude, are you a Michael Schenker fan at all?"
He's like, "Oh, I've been following him since '70s when he was in UFO." It's like, dude, really? Where the fuck did I get this shirt from? You know, if he wasn't here in 12 years, you know, jeez.
It's really, listen, it's really a bummer because again, some of these artists that I get these questions, I mean, they would love for you to buy their new music. They would love for you to turn up at their show. They would love for you to know what they have going on, but there's no more MTV. There's no more. It's just not. It's not going to happen that way. You have, but again, you've got. It couldn't be easier. Get on the computer. And I said all the time, I can't comprehend. Like, if I'm a fan and I have my top 10 bands, I can't even comprehend not having all their websites bookmarked and checking them every few days. Is there a date going on? Oh, they're doing this, or their Twitter feed or whatever. I mean, I don't understand it. It's just like people just get lost and they just check out and they think it's just going to show up on their radar one day. It's just really weird.
Yeah, I just, that's pretty much, Eddie, the reason why we do the show we do is because of bands like Black Star Riders and Red Dragon Cartel and Steel Panther and all these bands that the radio isn't even going to take a look at, who are putting out great music. Extreme, you're right. All these bands are still putting out great music, and that's why we try to give them a platform here for people to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people, honestly and unfortunately, don't want to. They don't want to hear new music. They're checked out from it. They want, it's an older demographic. They're 40, 50 years old. They want to just go and they want to hear the hits they grew up with. And it's unfortunate. You go to a concert, and a lot of times when the first thing when a band says, "I'm about to play something from my new record,"
everybody goes to the bathroom.
You see a line run for the beer line or the bathroom line.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because I'll give you a great example. Like Black Star Riders and Europe have two of my favorite records out right now. The new Europe record, I think, is maybe the best record they ever made. And I was never a massive fan of theirs. I always liked them, but this album is amazing to me. And the Black Star Riders album is amazing to me. I was talking to Joey Tempest the other day. I said, it's a pretty unique thing. You know how much you love someone's new music when you go to see them live, and you actually hope they play, nothing but new music. You're wanting all the songs from the new record as opposed to the old one. And that was the case when I saw Europe on the Monsters cruise. And, some of these guys are making some really, really good new music, and it is largely being ignored. Steel Panther's a little bit of a different thing because it's a parody thing. So I get why that's falls in a little bit, for me at least, in a different category because it's parody. But the other stuff is there's so many bands, both new bands and classic bands that are making new music that it's largely ignored. You've got a new band like Rival Sons that is doing huge in England. And they're an American band, and they can't get anything going on the radio here. It's just baffling.
Well, Eddie, to give you a perfect example, is tonight I'm going to see Blackstone Cherry in a club that holds maybe 250 people, and in 2 months they're going to turn around and headline one of the stages at Donington.
Yeah, Blackstone Cherry's started to make some real progress here in America. I'm surprised that it hasn't gone a little bit further for them, but there is a big disconnect too between the festivals and and especially the festivals here in America. You have to here's a perfect example. Europe is headlining M3 this weekend, where I am right now in Maryland, okay? Last night, they played Irving Plaza in New York, which is a club to about half a house. I wasn't there, but I know people that were. So there's this huge disparity between, it's a term in the business called soft ticket versus hard ticket, meaning that hard ticket means you're in a club and every single person there is coming to buy a ticket just to see you. Soft ticket means you're one of 15 logos on a day, and people are coming for the day to hang out and see who they see. Mm-hmm. And so there's this huge disparity there. Like, you could say, okay, well, how is it that Europe is going to play to 8,000, 9,000 people tomorrow night in Maryland, and in New York City they play to 300, 400, 500, whatever. And that's, and sometimes bands get lost in that too. Bands are like, well, we're a festival headliner. Well, you are with 15 other bands around you, but when you go to play a club, when you go away from that, you're a club act. And how do you bridge beyond that? And it's also fascinating for the bands like Black Star Riders and like Europe, who are touring together, who both have much bigger fan bases outside of the U.S. Mm-hmm. And people wonder why these bands don't come here and play. Crocus, another band that's playing right now in America. For years, I took calls from people saying, how come Crocus isn't playing in America more? Well, the band's in Switzerland. They're based in Switzerland. How expensive is it to tour? How expensive is it to come over here and to play what? A club for 150 people for a $2,000 guarantee? It's just not financially sound. So in order for it to change, fans have to get out there and support this stuff as best they can. And listen, the flip side of that is I understand there's a ton of bands touring, it's expensive, and you can't go to every show. But at least keep up with what they have going on, and if they put out something new, maybe buy it and listen to it, and you might be surprised. I'm blown away by how good some of this music is coming out.
Yeah. Well, hey, Eddie, why don't you hear a lot more music than we do or the normal person. Give us a few bands that we should be checking out.
Well, I mentioned the new Europe record. I mentioned the new Black Star Riders record, both of which are candidates for my personal albums of the year. It's early yet, but still, I love. I love this record and this band called Pharmacos. That is Joe Holmes who played with Ozzy. Mm-hmm. It's his new band. Robert Trujillo from Metallica plays bass on it. It's kind of like Alice in Chains meets Soundgarden, but with tons more guitar solos and really, really cool stuff. I love that, and I hope that makes it. I like the Motor Sister record a lot, which is a thing Scott Ian put together.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a really cool thing. Trying to think, there's probably a few others. I like it's a little different, but I've always been a Marilyn Manson fan. I like his new record.
I love that album.
I like the Rival Sons record, their latest. There's a number of them. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. I heard the new Slayer record already. There's one song out now, but I like what I heard of that. So I like this new record by this band called The Answer. It's an Irish band. Their latest record just came out. I like that. So there's a lot of them. I started putting on my website a little category where I did my own picks of the week, where I showcased what I was listening to, put links where people could buy it. But unfortunately, because of my schedule, I got so busy that I've neglected it, and I've only got 2 or 3 entries up there. So I've got to update that. But as soon as my schedule comes down, I'm going to focus more on that because, like you guys, I'm always looking for ways to let people know what's out there.
All right, now I got the tough question. Now, on the new Slayer, is there any cowbell?
Not that I heard.
Damn, that's what I'm waiting for.
Not that I heard.
Damn.
No, I don't think they've asked Paul Bostaph to do that.
No. Oh, man. Hey, Eddie, what do you got? What do you got planned? What do you got on the schedule so we can tell people where they can see you and where they can find out more about what's going on with Eddie Trunk?
Well, the best thing to do, just like I talked about with all the bands, is just go to my website, which is eddietrunk.com, and I've got a blog that I update every day or every other day. It says the Trunk Report right there on the homepage, and that's where I tell people what's going on. And also right on the homepage is a listing of every appearance that I have in order as they come up, and it's a mix of a lot of different things, hosting things. I either do a speaking show, I do shows with Don and Jim, so a bunch of things, and as they get confirmed, they go up there. So the website, you can email me through the site. There's all my information is there, so that's really the best thing to do. At Twitter feed, which is at Eddie Trunk, and Facebook is Eddie Trunk as well. And those same as what I just said about the bands. I mean, just hit my site if you're a fan. Hit my site a few times a week and hit that blog and look at those appearances and come out and hang out and come see me. I mean, it's a bunch of different stuff, from the radio shows to the podcast to live stuff to That Metal Show. And as I said, That Metal Show has 2 more episodes left in this season, and then I'll keep everybody up to date on the site, as well as to when I know we're going to be doing new ones and when we'll be starting up again. It's incredible. It's the other thing too. So many people ask me, how do I get tickets to a taping and this and that, and same old deal. As soon as I have the audience information, I put the link up on my social media and on my website. So it goes back to what I said about being a fan. If you're a fan of anything, band or a TV show or what I do or what you guys do or whatever, anything anybody does, they're going to have some sort of online presence, and just seek it out, and that's the best thing you can do.
Mm-hmm. All right, Eddie, well, be easy on us here, because we always let the guests pick the final song out of the interview. What do you got for us?
Uh-oh.
Can I do 2?
You can do whatever you want.
All right. Well, because I mentioned Europe a bunch of times, and because we mentioned Black Star Riders a bunch of times, and they're 2 of my favorite records, I'd love to do a song from each of those records. For Black Star Riders, my favorite song on the record, and Ricky Wirth is telling me it's his as well, is a song called Charlie, I Gotta Go.
Nice.
That's a total Thin Lizzy vibe, and I love that. And then on the Europe record, there's a bunch of songs I love as well, but there's a song that I just think is so cool called Second Day. And when I was on the Monsters of Rock cruise, I mentioned that to Joey, and he said that they were going to work it up, and sure enough, the second time they played on the ship, he played it and sent it out to me, and I've gotten tweets every day because they're playing on tour now, and apparently he's continued to do that, so I appreciate him giving me those shout-outs, but it's just a song that I love. It's just got such a cool vibe to it. So I'd say Black Star Riders, Charlie, I Gotta Go, and in Europe, Second Day, both from their latest records, which I think are great.
Very cool. Well, Eddie, it is always a pleasure having you on our show, and you're always welcome to come back.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, and thanks for the time. I hope to talk to you again soon.
To catch the whole show of Rock and Metal Revival, all you have to do is check it out on these affiliates. Mega Rock Radio's on Saturdays from 11 a.m. Eastern Time, on Rock 101 KLOL on Saturdays 11 p.m. Eastern, on Z-Rock 106.9 KKZR Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Uncontrolled Noise Tuesdays at 1 a.m., Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern on uncontrollednoise.com. And make sure that you leave them a message and tell them that you found Rock and Metal Revival on their stations. Enjoy this edition of Rock and Metal Revival.